Hey all, it's good to see you. Today I'm doing the last in the six-part mini series in my video blog that I've been doing on life lessons from Jesus. If you've been following along, these are just lessons about life. They apply whether or not you're a religious person, but all the more impactful for those who have decided and chosen to follow Jesus into their lives. And so this particular lesson I think is an encouraging one, but it was really driven home by in my life when I was in sales. I spent many years in the business world before I became a pastor. And in sales, a lot of times when you hit the end of a year, there was a lot of pressure to get sales in. You wanted to achieve the quotas, meet the goals, do everything that had to be done. And so we would do that. We would beat the bushes. We would talk to customers. And by the end of the year, we would have all the sales in. It was great. We met all our objectives. And the reward that we got for this was that, January 1st, they said, okay, so what are you going to do next? How are we going to meet first quarter numbers? There was no sense of accomplishment. It was just moving on to the next goal. Well, this can be a dangerous way to live, actually, in our own lives. And Jesus modeled a different way. And the principle I would say is this: celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. This is what Jesus did. There's a great story in Luke chapter 10 because Jesus was trying to train and teach people what to do. And so he had 72 followers, disciples, that he sent out. He said, look, you've been watching me. I want you to go do what I've been doing. And so he sent them out in twos to go into the surrounding areas and to do ministry, the kind of stuff he'd been doing. And when they came back, they were so excited because things had happened. They'd been able to participate in teaching and miracles and just seeing people's lives changed. And what we read is that Jesus took the time to listen to their stories, to gather them together, to talk about it. We even read in this particular section, Luke tells us that Jesus was full of joy. In other words, he was excited. He was thrilled to death that all this stuff was going on. Well, why is this so important? Why does it matter celebrating wins? Because if you're a driven person, sometimes it feels like a waste of time. But it's a really crucial thing because when we celebrate the wins when they happen, it reorients our perspective. It's very easy to get a perspective that's off, that's skewed, that's negative. Celebrating wins allows us to reorient our perspective alongside of God's. Not only that, it actually makes us more thankful people, more people who are more inclined to praise God, which deepens our relationship with God. It actually grows us because we begin to see that, you know what? It's not a waste of time. The things I'm doing are not worthless. There is stuff that's happening. I'm having an impact. God is at work. It keeps us from all that depression or that frustration that things aren't going to happen. And quite frankly, it just makes us nicer people to be around. Now, what stops us from celebrating the wins, and I can hear some of you on the end going, yeah, but I haven't had a win in 5 years. And we look at it and we think we want the win. We would love to celebrate the wins, but we don't see any. And when that begins to happen, one of the key things to do is to think smaller. Because some of us have a tendency, especially if we're goal-oriented people, to think for the big win. We want to see everything happen. We want the end results of all we're working for to happen, and then we're going to celebrate. But in reality, that often doesn't happen, or at least not the way we think it does. And so we're left to celebrate the small wins. These 72 disciples that Jesus sent out, they ended up, at least for a time, deserting Jesus completely. All the stuff he taught into them, they forgot, they ran away from. But Jesus wasn't looking for the end game. He was celebrating the wins in the moment to know that, in fact, things were moving in the right direction. And so think a little bit smaller. Focus on the smaller wins. And the other barrier often is just that we're so driven. We want to get to the next thing. We want to accomplish the next thing. We don't have time to waste. But I will say this: if you celebrate the wins, it'll actually encourage you. It'll give you more energy to keep on going. And it will do the same for the people that either work for you, work with you, or minister with you in life. So my encouragement to you today: celebrate the wins. Look for them. See where they are. And then enjoy them. Take a time to pause, to be thankful, to praise God for what he's doing. And in doing so, you'll be encouraged. You'll be built up to continue on in doing what needs to be done. Till next time, see you then.